Come see me in my saddle shop someday. Hey, good morning everybody. Have yourself a fine steaming cup of Folgers with me this morning. In my favorite cup in the whole world. Now they say you can't buy happiness. And probably that's true, but if you go to IHOPs, you'll come close. I have a little thing to share with you this morning. A story of my grandfather. I love thinking of my grandfathers, so I had made a video for the kids, my grandchildren. I'm gonna put that out today too at some point. But this one is for my children, about how God loves us and how He answers prayers. So, my grandfather Myers was the grandfather I knew the least. I'm sorry. Anyway, because of our geographical location, let me say, I never really got to spend any one-on-one time with him. He would come to see us, but it's just like when I come to see you, we have to spread ourselves pretty thin because we have lots of grandchildren, and that's a blessing, but it's hard to spend one-on-one time. So, my other grandpa, of course, I got to go live with him some in the summer, and that was really great. I really cherished that. But Grandpa Myers, of course, I never knew my grandmother. She died when my dad was a little kid. But the lady I knew to be my grandmother was Lillian. She was a sweet lady. She always treated us like, I'd say, a real grandma would. But they never spent any money on us because they didn't have it. They had enough to live, but they had to live very carefully. So about once a year, they would come, about once every 2 years, they would come down to see us, and about once every 2 years, we'd go up to see them. So we basically would see each other about once a year for a couple of days. And Grandpa, this one of my good memories, he always drove a Ford Maverick. Look it up. It's a little small economy car. One step up from the Pinto. And I can remember at least 3 different ones he had. He had a little yellow one, he had a little blue one, and a little green one. And he'd drive them a few years, and they didn't last long. You get 100,000 miles on one of those, and they were worn out. Anyways, he came down to see us one time, and Grandpa was one that was very careful to always have a prayer before he left on a trip. And my dad's the same way. Always tried to have a prayer before he took off. And he really trusted God for his protection and to provide. Anyways, he got home it was about a 10-hour drive. It's a pretty big drive in those days at 55 miles an hour in a Ford Maverick. But he drove all the way home. His car was getting older, and they made it safely home. I think Dad called the next morning and said, Dad, he said, did you make it home? And Grandpa was like, oh yeah. He said, but he said, I went out to get something out of the car this morning, and the tie rod was laying on the ground. Well, there's maybe reasons why tie rods often do fall off when we finally stop, if they're worn out, because there's no tension on them anymore. But he had stopped multiple times on this trip home to get gas and get snacks or whatever they had to do. And all those miles, all that interstate. could have been so bad. And Grandpa, of course, he didn't look at it like it was just something that happened. It was God that held it on there. And you know, I believe it was.